There's something that solos like this and like this have in common. They're obviously the same instrument, but even though they're completely different styles, completely different sounds, there's something that really rings true to both of them that runs deep in the core of why they sound good. What those solos that I showed you have in common is that they both follow the chord changes perfectly. Whether it's jazz or bebop harmony or a simple diatonic rock chord progression, they both outline the changes. I find that a lot of intermediate guitarists don't really outline the chord changes. They stick to one key. They automatically go to that minor pentatonic position, which is fun, but whilst the other chords in the progression are flying by, they're sort of fumbling around trying to work out what the hell to play. So today I'm going to break down a classic rock solo that you probably don't realize follows the chords perfectly. It's Bon Jovi's Livin' on a Prayer. Now I'm going to break down the original guitar solo and show you just how Richie followed those chord changes perfectly. If you are a member over on Patreon, I've also written 2 solos that do the same thing, just to show you the power of following the chord changes. There's some really cool stuff. You'll hear it in this video, but if you want the tab and really want to dig deeper into that, you can jump onto my Patreon page. There's a link in the description. So let's check out the first phrase and work out what's actually going on. It sounds like this. Now, the 3 chords that are happening behind that are E, C, D, and he follows it perfectly. It's actually pretty masterful. So we're starting on the E note, which is the root note of E. And then when we hit this G note, that's when the C chord happens. That's the perfect fifth of C. Outlines the change perfectly. It's also in E minor pentatonic, right? Then he goes up, sort of hits the major 7 of C, and then comes back down on the 5th of D, and then the root note of D. And that outlines that change perfectly. Alright, check out this next part. So right here, the chords go G, C, to a D, and what happens over that G is a G major triad, going from G, then the 5th of G, which is D, and then B, right? That's all over that G chord. Spells it out really nicely. And then he's hitting a C note when the C chord happens, right? That's the root note. Then he works up to the major 3rd by bending into it. That E note is a major 3rd of C, and then releases it when the D chord happens. It's completely intentional. It's genius. It works so well. It's so simple, but it really outlines those changes and makes it a strong melody. That's the whole thing. The next thing that happens over the E, right? That's just E minor pentatonic, kind of hitting the minor 3rd and the 5th. Then he goes up to the C, and he actually plays an A as well over the C chord. But because he's reaching the C note, it still highlights that C chord. And then over the D chord, check this out. This is really quite a nice idea. It's sort of spelling out a D sus4 kind of sound. Right? If you imagine this D major chord, this is an E shape D major chord. It's the major 3rd there, bending up and then releasing. So it's going major 3rd, sus4, then back to the major 3rd, root note, and 5th. It's all chord tones of that D, right? And then check this out. This phrase here is the same as the original G major triad, but descending. It's almost like a call and response or an answer to that initial phrase. So we go G major triad, and then when the C chord happens, yes, he hits a C. and then goes to the major 7 of C, and then the 5th of C, which is a G note, right? And then we get like a unison bend over the E minor. So really the whole solo follows the chord progression perfectly. It sounds really, really awesome. All of those melodic choices are so strong because they land on the chord tones of the chord that happen. So if you want to dig a little bit deeper and gain more of an understanding of ways that you can actually outline the changes in this particular song, I've written 2 solos that you can check out on my Patreon page. There's a link in the description. There's heaps of cool stuff. If you're in a cover band and you do this song live, it's really, really fun to, you know, go with a different approach. So this is really, really the key to doing that and making it sound good. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks to all of you who have been subscribing, liking, and commenting. I really do appreciate it. See you on the next one, guys.